You might be tempted to unlock that new operator on Valorant, but if you're not good at basic gunplay, you might not fare as good. My name is Udullah, you're watching Candid.Technology, and in this video we're talking about how you can improve your aim in Valorant. So improving your aim in Valorant does require a lot of practice. The best way you can do this is by loading into the shooting range, selecting your weapon of choice. So Vandal is a good point to start. And now what you can do here is to keep in mind a few things. First is your crosshair placement. So crosshair placement refers to you placing your crosshair where you expect an enemy to appear. So instead of walking while looking on the ground like this, it's better if you walk looking at corners. For example, if I'm watching this angle and I'm expecting an enemy to appear, what I'm supposed to do instead is walk or move towards the corner with my crosshair already placed where I expect the enemy to be. So also make sure to keep a little bit of a distance from the corner so that you can account for your own reaction time and things like that. So for example, if I'm expecting someone to peek that corner, I will move with my crosshair wherever the person appears to be. Another thing to keep in mind other than your crosshair placement is your movement. So if you're walking and shooting like this, as you can see, you're wildly inaccurate compared to when you're standing and shooting. So one important rule of thumb is to not move when you're shooting. You can do that by counter strafing angles. So you can peek angles like this, and even if you're aimed down sights, if you move, you're not going to be able to hit anything. So stand still, aim properly, and then shoot. The best way to practice this is by just coming into the shooting range, hitting this practice button, and then start shooting. As you can see, when I'm moving, I'm very inaccurate and I can't seem to hit any targets. But on the contrary, if I stop and I start shooting, you can see that I'm hitting most of my targets. It's also important to have a feel for the gun that you're using. For example, Vandal, the gun that I'm using, will one-shot kill any enemy if you aim at the head. And that's true for other guns as well, like the Operator, which is a one-shot kill to the body. So make sure that you have an idea of what gun you're using. So if I were to switch to, let's say, the Operator and start the practice, I can one-shot kill anyone no matter where I aim. Oh wow, that's not good. Something like that. So it's very important to have a feel for the gun that you're using. The next thing is your crosshair. Now crosshair placement is one thing, but FPS games like Valorant also allow you to customize your own crosshair. You can access these settings in the crosshair section. So you can save different crosshair profiles. You can have different crosshairs for sniper scope, aim down sights, and primary. And you can also ask for people's crosshairs. So you can just, let's say I want to edit my primary crosshair. Alright. So here I can change the color. I can add outlines, I can increase or decrease the given outline space, and there are a bunch of other settings that I can modify to get the crosshair to work how I want. And this is important so that you can develop a crosshair that suits your playstyle and isn't something ordinary. For me, the default crosshair works just fine, but if I were to play a game like CS, for example, my crosshair would be wildly different. So yeah, also make sure that your crosshair is visible against some multiple backdrops actually. So if you were to, let's say, aim at this tree and you have a dark green crosshair, you may not see it if the outline is not on. So a color that contrasts with The background that you're aiming for is very important while aiming. Also keep in mind that Valorant is all about gunfights where you have the advantage and you can use your util, throw out smokes, and gain a positional advantage using your abilities or your operator's abilities. So it's very important to keep those in mind as well, but they're not necessarily a requirement for gunfights. It just give you the upper hand. You can learn spray controls. So if I were to take let's say Vandal again, and if I aim at the wall, you can see that there is recoil. So I goes up, then it goes slightly left, and then it goes right. So we need to counter that, which means if you're spraying someone, you need to hold down the crosshair while shooting. As you can see, this is far more accurate compared to this. So if the head was here, I would aim and then I would pull down. Shooting in bursts, that's also a very important part, so that you just need to be aware of where your bullets are going. As you can see with these tracers, you might not always have the time to aim down the sights to do better, so also be comfortable shooting from the hip. So in summary, stand still, peek corners properly, have your crosshair at the right head level, make sure your crosshair is set up the way you like it, and get a feel for the gun in the practice range. Other than that, the more you play the game, the more you'll develop a game sense for where enemies should be and how you should place your crosshair. Another important thing that you should keep in mind when practicing aiming in Valorant is your mouse sensitivity. So I am a high sensitivity player. I play on 12,000 or 1200 DPI, but a lot of pro players range from 400 to 800 DPI. What's important is that you get a feel for the game, get a feel for the movement, what feels snappy, because if you're playing on a sensitivity that's too high, you run the risk of overshooting your target. So let's say if my target is here, I can easily not track them. But if my sensitivity is right, I can just figure out where they are and be okay with tracking. So this is what mouse sensitivity does for you. If you're too high, you're gonna end up in a situation like this. You will often overshoot your targets. So it's important to set the right mouse sensitivity and the right aim sensitivity in the game as well. You can test this out in practice mode, so stick to a DPI that you're comfortable with from any other game. So a good starting point would be anywhere between 800 to 1000 DPI, and then once you've got a feel for the DPI right, you can increase or decrease aim sensitivity and get it set right. If you like these videos, consider subscribing, give us a thumbs up, press the bell icon, and tell us in the comments below what more such content can we make for you. If you want to know more about tech, visit our website Candid.Technology, follow us on social media, follow me on Instagram or Twitter, and we'll see you in the next video.